Hello, welcome to Insight Now. We're homemade family. We are Nathanael and Amy White, talking about all things family and kingdom and wonderful stuff.
Hi, we hope you're having a great week. Thanks for joining us again. As always, you can catch all of these on Facebook, on our website at thehomemadefamily.com, on our YouTube channel, search for The Homemade Family, or on anywhere podcasts are found. You can find it on the Insight Now channel.
Yep. Or what's the Insight Now website?
InsightNow.co.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. So, whenever you're listening to this at some point now or in the future, it is the week before Thanksgiving. It is 6 days. And so we are coming up on holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and all of the wonderful and amazing traditions that are just part of the season. We would love for you to share some of your favorite traditions, family traditions, especially from Thanksgiving or from Christmas or New Year's, things that just have really helped these holidays stay special for you or your family. We'd love to hear some of those tradition suggestions. And we want to talk about traditions today because they can actually be so powerful in helping us pass on from generation to generation the things that we want just held as most important in our families. If you think about traditions and why do they last, if you were to just all of a sudden tell your kids, like, you know what, we're not going to set up the Christmas tree. We're not going to give presents on Christmas morning. Even we just recently, in one of our families, we were discussing, hey, as you guys are already getting together with the other families, do we still want to do like a typical Thanksgiving dinner? Or, and the unanimous feedback was, except for one person who was like, I really don't care. The unanimous feedback was, yeah, don't mess with Thanksgiving dinner. Like, I don't care if I'm eating turkey 3 days in a row. It's Thanksgiving, dang it. And anyway, it wasn't quite that vehement, but that was the heart behind it. So even these little things that become so important, like don't mess with my traditions. What if we could tie in our values to those traditions so that just the emotional grip and the power and the compulsion of tradition all also carries on things that are important to us, our faith and our values. Yes.
Awesome. We aren't just talking about like the big family traditions, the holiday season. We're also going to talk about building your family the way that you want it to be. So you can have traditions around anything, actually.
Right.
But all of that stems from your value system and like what culture you want in your home too. Even just regular old family dinners. Nathaniel and I were talking beforehand, and it was kind of funny because we were just talking about the difference between his family dinner and my family dinner and how we all grew up.
Oh my.
I mean, we both grew up in Christian homes and Christian families.
Yeah.
But I had 4 kids in my family growing up. I have 3 siblings, my parents and us, and we would come to dinner. And it was loud and boisterous and people were talking, and even like sense of humor was potty jokes or, it was loud and obnoxious. And it was almost like I had to eat as much food as I possibly could so I could get seconds and, before anybody else did. Like it was just this rowdy, rambunctious, crazy time. And Nathaniel's home growing up was his dad and mom, and his mom was raised by a home ec professor. And their sense of humor never had anything to do with potty humor.
No.
It was very much
puns
and movie trivia, and just the way that they would connect was totally and completely different than the way that we did. But we still got an amazing sense of family out of that family time, even though we grew up in 2 totally different cultures. But it was funny, the first time I went to dinner at Nathaniel's parents' house,
Wasn't funny at the time.
it wasn't funny at the time. I left crying because I was used to loud and rowdy and, everybody talking and action and, anybody could contribute. And most of the time we're talking over each other. It was just, and I felt honestly a bit stifled. It was very extremely quiet. Like you could hear yourself chewing, and the conversation was a lot of movie trivia and puns, and I didn't know those things. And so when I left, I actually was like crying, and I was like, I don't think I'm smart enough to be a part of your family. And so as we take these two families and we're bringing them together, now all of a sudden we're asking the questions like, what do we want the culture of our home to be? How do we want to do family traditions and family dinners and these things? And so
so this is probably the first and most important thing that we want to communicate with you guys today. We're going to get to practical tips and thoughts and helpful suggestions and things like that. But if there was one thing for you to take away from today, it would simply be, know that you get to make your family however you want to make your family. That, if you get married to somebody and their family was completely different, like you're going to know all of a sudden your family is not, the family you produce together is not going to be exactly like either her family or your family, like it's not going to completely line up. And so as long as it's going to be different anyway, why not ask yourself the question, what do I want my family to look like? And what we want you to know is that you really do have that freedom to design your own family. There's a reason our ministry is called Homemade Family, because that's it. You make your family. Your family is homemade.
You choose your ingredients, you choose your culture, you mix it all up, and you choose how you want to make your family.
Yeah,
it's good.
It is good.
Yep. So traditions are wonderful, especially the holiday time when we come into these family traditions. We just ask the question though, why do we do what we do? Is it just because it's what has always been done? Or can we add a little intentionality and create something bigger and better and deeper? Because traditions are a place where we get family connectedness. It connects us not only with our family together, but through the generations.
Yeah.
It also is what do you want to sow into the next generation and things like that. So
yeah, just as an example of that, one of our had nothing to do with the holidays, but it was a tradition nonetheless that my family had growing up, was every Friday was pizza and movie night. And that's where all the movie quotes came from. But that was a testimony then, even of, the very first time that Amy's coming and hanging out with us. And I don't even think my brother was there. It was just my mom and dad and me.
No, I think your brother.
Oh, maybe. But it was, it was probably a Thanksgiving.
It was Thanksgiving
dinner.
Dinner.
It was probably Thanksgiving dinner. And anyway, a lot of that connecting that we were doing over and through movie quotes was because of how we'd grown up, how my brother and I had grown up. And even to this day, a lot of the times my brother and I will send a text message to each other with just half of a quote and see if the other one can finish it, or it might be half a line from a song or something like that. But these are the things that we continue to use to stay connected and keep connected even today, is out of these simple little traditions. And that actually is one of the reasons why we continue on with that tradition for our family as well. Every Friday tonight, we'll be eating pizza and watching a movie.
Exactly. Nathanael, you were talking about taking advantage of the things that you need to do anyway, and using those to create
purposeful traditions.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is huge. And it's so simple, so easy. there are certain things that you need to do anyway. Excuse me. That you need to do anyway. I'm going to try to finish my sentence. um, Things like you need to eat and you need to go to bed and car rides, holidays. These are certain things that you're going to be doing anyway. And if you are purposeful in how you do them, then they can become very powerful times of teaching, times of training, times of connecting, times of value imparting, all of those kinds of things with your kids. So one of the things Amy wrote down as an idea for us to talk through today was the ever-changing bedtime routine. Because seriously, it's been hilarious over the years at our home when we're starting with the little kids, and especially when it was only just Nehemiah as our firstborn, and he was the only one around. For a while, it was like we let him pick pretty much all the books he wanted to read, and we'd read him 4, 5, 6 different kids' books every single night before putting him to bed. Well, once we added another kid to that, by the time Adoniah was ready to read books, we had probably another infant with Simeon born as well, and our bedtimes looked a lot different. It was like we were taking an hour or two to put our kids to bed, so we changed things, and here's some restrictions and things like that. But in that, we're still, what are we doing? We're communicating connection. We're communicating values. Even in the books that we're reading some Jesus books. We're reading some character-based books. We're reading books on kindness and manners. We're reading books on that are educational, that are helping feed them. It's not just entertainment and jokes and laughs. Those are good too sometimes, but we were careful about what we fed them during that time. And then fast forward to now, and there's been every step of the way between here and now. Now we're reading books on leadership or books on self-development or spiritual books. Missionary journeys. We're reading biographies of missionary journeys and crazy, incredible God adventures that people are having. And we pick these books intentionally to inspire our kids for what could be possible or what can God do in their life. Things that reinforce values of, hey, we give our all to the Lord. He's worthy of everything. And we read a book about different personalities, like, hey, let's just sow into our relationships and helping you understand each other and helping you understand us and us understand you. And you understand yourself better. And so all of that's, hey, we need to put these kids into bed anyway. Why don't we just use this as a powerful connection time that it brings all of us together? We do some sort of reading thing for 20 minutes, and then we pray and we go to bed.
We actually do another level of connection at bedtime also. And the reason that we do that is because I just chose I chose some families who had teens and young adults who were walking with the Lord and who I could see had really great character and good family connection. And so I went to those moms separately and I just started asking questions like, what do you feel like you did while your kids were growing up that kept you guys connected or that helped them to still walk with Jesus? Or just like, what are the things that you guys did? And the most common answer that I found was that they would climb into bed with their kid at night and have a nightly conversation. So there's just a certain time of day. And a lot of times that's the end of the day when kids are coming down. Us too, as parents, adults, this is a great connection time, is right before bed. Like you want to process, there's all these things and they need to get processed before you go to sleep. And so we have developed the culture or the tradition that we brush teeth and get jammies on. We meet in the hallway for a family devotional type anything like Nathanael had just talked about. And then we say our prayers, hug, and every kid goes to their own bed. And then Nathaniel and I actually walk around and go bed to bed and spend one-on-one time with
Yeah.
each child. Is this convenient? No.
Takes at least an hour every night.
Does it take a significant amount of time? We have 5 kids. It does take a significant
Right.
amount of time.
Obviously wouldn't take as long if we didn't have so many kids.
Yep. But we feel like the investment is so worth the time and the
Yeah.
energy and the effort, and even the lateness that we get to bed then, or we just have to start earlier, or
Right.
because we know that these traditions, these connection points, this culture of family just doesn't happen on its own. It actually takes intentionality. And
Right.
that kind of goes back to what we said at the beginning, where the beautiful thing about family is you can build it however you want to. You don't have to do what we're doing, but you can like choose the things that are valuable and important to you, and then just begin to create it inside your home.
Yeah.
So we do this where we go around to each kid and we have time with a tuck in and personal conversation and connection. And then that's how we end our day.
Right.
Then Nathaniel and I get to go off and have our time together because we need to make sure that we're connecting also.
Yep.
But taking the things that are important to you or that you feel like you want to see in your home, and then just begin to implement them. And these things don't all have to be serious things. They can be fun things too. In my home growing up, every Sunday morning, we had donuts or danishes or cinnamon rolls or some sort of treat like that. And I remember my dad saying to me one time, he said, Amy, no matter how big you get and how far away you go from home, every Sunday morning, you can know that we will be eating donuts on Sunday morning. And that's family tradition. That's not, we didn't take donuts into our home on Sunday mornings, but we do have scrambled eggs with cheese every Sunday morning because we have a long Sunday morning. But it was fun because our kids were talking one day and they were like, the only day that's not special is Monday. And I was like, okay, how so? And they said, well, Tuesday is Grandma Day because Grandma comes to babysit every Tuesday. Wednesday night is church night. Thursday, they have piano lessons. Friday is pizza and movie night. Saturday is pancake and coffee day. Yes, every single Saturday morning. we
share our beloved coffee with our kids.
With our kids, it's just too expensive to give them coffee every day. So once a week, they get coffee with special creamers.
And we make pancakes.
Yep. And then Sunday is church day again. And so it's like even just these small traditions that feel like special things or make a day special, even piano lesson or grandma coming, or Saturday, pancake and coffee day, pizza and movie night. All these things are things that create the identity and the connection and the culture that makes family important and begins to create that culture in our kids' heart. That there's actually something special within the 4 walls of my home,
That, what she just said, there is something special within the 4 walls of my home. That is the power of tradition.
Yes.
It's that this becomes special and because it feels special, it keeps them coming together. It keeps them connected. It keeps them coming. And then that satisfies that need to be a part of something special. So they're not going and looking for it in unhealthy places when they don't know how to manage relationships well and all of those other kinds of things where it's outside the home and outside of guidance and supervision and help and wisdom and whatever else. But that is so special. And part of what I said, have kind of written here of my thoughts ahead of this too, was taking advantage of the things you need to do anyway. We talked about bedtime, but holidays along with these, that was how this whole conversation started, was talking about holidays and how do you, what a holiday is literally, the word is holy days. And what holiness is not, it means set apart. It means special. The opposite of holiness isn't unrighteousness. The opposite of holiness is being common. It's the everyday. It's the normal dishes you use instead of the ones you only use on holidays. And so like there are things that we do for holidays that keep them set apart. It's one of the things, like our kids are saying, hey, we want to set up the tree. We want to set up the Christmas tree. We want to set up the Christmas tree. And we say, we need to wait. And they're like, we could leave it up all year round. And we say, but that would keep that, it would stop being special then. And because it is set apart, that it is only put up in our home, roughly this day and roughly that day, changes every year. I think we almost put it up in October one year. But this year we've set Thanksgiving as a boundary, whatever. But whatever that boundary is, like it keeps it so that it's special. If it was every day of the year, it'd just be another decoration and kind of a strange one. But because it's special and limited to a certain time of the year. So what other things can you do around holidays that can help impart the values as well and have them embedded into the traditions that you do? So one of the things that we brought in from my family that my family did growing up is we had an Advent calendar that my mom had sewn together on a pattern off some fabric, and it's a Christmas tree that you hang an ornament on every day of the month until you get to Christmas Eve, and you hang the last one on Christmas Eve. And there's a reading schedule that goes through. So you're reading a little bit of the Christmas story every night. And we've adapted that in terms of what we read, but we always read some kind of Christmas devotional along with our Advent calendar. And again, this is using the power of tradition to also impart our values and our faith, so that as our kids continue on these traditions that have become so meaningful and special to them, they have to carry their faith with them into those things. It makes it all part of the package. Something else we did, what was it like? There was a 4th of July early on in our kids' lives where we reenacted the Battle of Valley Forge and the Boston Tea Party, which technically have no actual date-wise connections with the 4th of July. Those happened at other times of the year, but it was all Revolutionary War era stuff. And so it helped our kids understand, hey, what actually is Independence Day? What is independence from? Those kinds of things, like we actually sit down and have conversations. Why is this day set apart? Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Why is this day set apart? Those kinds of things. I don't know, which kind of brings me to one of the most literally everyday things. I assume that you eat every day, unless you are purposefully fasting for like a medical procedure or because you're seeking the Lord and you're fasting for spiritual reasons. You're eating every day, presumably multiple times every day. And Amy actually we found some really powerful information about just the power of eating together as a family.
Yeah. Real quick before I jump into this, even meal times can become traditions. And growing up in my family, we had 6 people in our family. And so my parents started this where each kid would have a day that they would pray for the meal. my day was Tuesday, and it just kind of went down the line. And then Saturdays, because we only had 6 people, on Saturday we would say a family blessing where we all knew the prayer and we would all say it together. And so that's actually one of the traditions, family traditions, that we brought into our home. And there's 7 in our family, so it works out perfect.
Everybody has a
So
day of the week.
everybody has a day of the week that they pray, and it's really fun because our kids have kind of made a little addition to this family tradition. And if it's your birthday, you pray on your birthday. So if your birthday doesn't fall on your day of the week to pray, they switch with whoever's day it is. And so it's like, it's just really become something special, and it's making something special out of something super common. But now we've added this extra layer of camaraderie and family and tradition and values that go along with that.
And you can see how they have taken it on to own it as their own, which is the whole point.
Yes.
That this isn't our thing. This is a way to give it to them, that it becomes their thing.
Mm-hmm. So here are some statistics on family dinners. This is from AC Nielsen and Company. It says the average parent spends 38 minutes per week. 38 minutes per week in meaningful conversation with their children. So that's where simple things like a family dinner and getting tucked in at night can add a little bit more quality time. A lot of benefit. Yeah. Family dinners are actually more important than play, story time, or other family events in the development of vocabulary of younger children. That was by Harvard research. Frequent family meals are associated with a lower risk of smoking, drinking, and using drugs, and a lower incidence of depressive symptoms and suicidal thoughts, and with better grades in 11 to 18-year-olds. You know, we see so often, like once kids get a little bit older, and especially with driver's license and they're running around in sports and things, like family dinners break down. But it's so important, even in the teen years, to keep those family dinners, because it actually helps reduce even risky behaviors like drugs and alcohol and sexual promiscuity. And it said also that 24% of teens actually wish that their parents would spend more time engaged with them, or would like to do more family dinners together. A couple more, that the kids who, families that actually have, this is from the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse, that kids who have family dinners are less likely to be overweight. They're more likely to eat healthy food. And they have better performance academically, which I already talked about, and they have better relationships with their parents. So all of these things are such amazing statistics and research that's been done about family dinners, and just finding that way to create, I mean, just even having a family meal is a good tradition to start, to keep, and to pass on to the next generation.
Yeah. So just to kind of tie all this together and wrap us up for today, I hope that some of what you're hearing in this is like the simplicity of family and the power of the small things. That this is not, you've got to do a family vacation every year, or you need to attend this conference, or you need to read 500 books, or you need to, like, we're not setting up some sort of Herculean standard of accomplishment of what it takes to bond with your kids and pass on family values and see the move of God pass on from generation to generation, see your faith lived out in your kids' lives and have healthy connection with them. Like, what if it really is just as simple as eat dinner together every day? I mean, not, it doesn't need to get there. There are times we don't, but it's our norm that we eat dinner together. And what if it's just that simple? What if it's just as simple as when you eat dinner together, put your technology away, you put books away, put whatever else away, and be present with each other? What if it's as simple as just climb into bed with your kid when you're tucking them in at night for 10 minutes? That's it. You know, but that adds up over the course of a week. If you spend 10 minutes with your child just at bedtime and you don't have any meaningful connection with them any other time during the week, you're going to double that statistic that Amy read of 38 minutes per week of meaningful conversation. If you just tuck them in for 10 minutes every night, you're going to double that in a week without having any meal time together, without having anything outside of that. Like, how much more can your connection grow just given those beautiful opportunities? And they're so simple.
Yes,
Eat together.
Amen.
So, yeah.
All right. Do you want to close in prayer and we'll hop off here?
Yes. So Jesus, thank you that this can be very, very simple, that we can build family just by doing things that we have to do anyway, that it doesn't take this massive tectonic shift of things in our lives. It just takes a bit of being intentional to do things together. And so God, I just pray for every parent watching this, listening to this, that you give them grace, mercy, that you give them favor and influence within their own family to bring shifts where these shifts are needed or could be beneficial. And God, that as they work towards being intentional in these little things, God, that there would be so much life in it for them, for their spouse, for their kids, that it's just so readily apparent very quickly, right away, that this is good. And it just continues to draw everybody in the family in together, God, so that faith and values can be just passed on from generation to generation, and we can see your work multiply. See your life in our homes grow. So we bless you, God. I bless these families in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us today, guys.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.